pass me a piece of paper that's fantastic. Welcome back. It turns out that I still have kidney cancer, so there are more things to write about. I'm reading from my book called Cancer Trip 2, Alive and Kicking. The tumors had spread to several organs and into my spine, and so I needed surgery again. Here is what happened. My wife Isabel and I were up at 4:30 a.m. to check into the hospital for 6 o'clock surgery. She dropped me off at the front doors and drove off to park the car. At the pre-op reception, things looked bright, cheery, and comfortable. The clerk smiled at me when I arrived at the counter, and I handed her my health card. "Good morning," she said. "What procedure are you having today?" I have no idea." "Really?" She cocked an eyebrow disdainfully. "You don't know what your operation is?" "Well, it's got a fancy name. I don't know. Why don't you surprise me?" "Okay then, gender reassignment surgery it shall be. Please sign these forms." She grinned as I defensively grabbed my crotch, and my memory instantly sprang to life. "It's for my spine. It's called hyperplasticine." Just then my wife arrived and started towards me. "Isabel, tell the lady I do not want to become a woman." Isabel just asked, "What have you done now?" The receptionist turned to her. "Please tell me the name of the procedure we're to be performing on your husband." "It's kyphoplasty." "Wonderful. Please have a seat." I came back to the conversation and turned to the receptionist. "You mean you knew all along what I'm having?" "Of course. We don't negotiate these things on the spot. We don't ask what kind of surgery you would like to have." She nodded to the computer screen. "It's stated right here next to your name. But we always confirm with the patient." Soon I was brought into the pre-op area where patients are kept until the OR is ready for them. A nurse arrived and drew the curtain so I could have some privacy while changing into my hospital gown. Isabel was inside there with me, and I said to the nurse, "I don't know who this lady is. We met in the lobby downstairs." "Well, that's a good way to get to know one another," she said. "See you in a few minutes." As far as surgeries go, this one was relatively minor. I was put under, and after the perceived 1 second of passage of time, I awoke in recovery. It was an enormous room, 40 beds or so. Shortly after, Isabel arrived, bucking the rules, and gave me my cell phone. After my new nurse got me settled and did my vitals, I was left alone. Having been awake since 4:30 a.m., I fell fast asleep. Soon my cell phone rang, waking me up, so I answered it. This turned out to be a colossal mistake, as my mind was still under the influence of the drugs taken before surgery. There was a lady on the other line, and the conversation went thus. Hello? I think I have the wrong, is this the Avalon Music Academy? My mind searched for a reply. I knew this. I gave the best answer I could come up with. I think so. I was awesome. You think so? I believe I have the wrong number. No, wait. I own a music school. It's called, wait, I can do this. Shit. What did you say it was called again? Now I know I have the wrong number. Goodbye now. She hung up. Immediately my cell phone rang again. Logic fought for supremacy in my mind, as I knew I shouldn't touch the phone, but I had answered at least half the questions right on the previous try, so this one would of course be much better. I always answer the phone by stating the name of my school. Hello, Avalon something, damn it. It was the same lady. You still haven't figured out the name of your school, have you? The thing is, I checked the number and this is correct, so I don't know what's going on. I figured I'd start by telling her what I knew. I owned the music school. I just had surgery. I had a general anesthesia. And I'm in the recovery room. To prove it to her, I came very close to telling her that I had a catheter in and that it really hurt. But a thought came to my brain. Steve, don't be an idiot. She won't know what a catheter does to you. She's not a guy. Just tell her your penis hurts. Before I could say anything, she continued, I'm clearly calling your cell phone. Then it hit me and a bit of the cloud lifted. Well, the school line sometimes goes to my cell. Before the surgery, one of our music teachers was supposed to change that. I guess he forgot. Not going to name names, but it rhymes with Shrivelcock. Okay, anyway, I'll try you back in a few days. So I posted the above story on Facebook, tagging the teacher named Mike Shrivelcock. His reply, rhymes with Shrivelcock? Well, that could be anybody. Before long, I was transferred to a ward, and a new nurse came along to my bedside. She was one of the older nurses in the unit, and she had a kind, motherly face. She had to ask me some skill-testing questions to make sure I was lucid, and I failed them all. Hello, Steve. Can you tell me what year this is? I thought about it carefully. I know I was born in 1971, and that I started school in 1976. I did some clever calculations, and then I looked her right in the eye. It's 1997. She made a note on her clipboard. Am I right? I asked. I was hoping for a prize to celebrate the ingenuity with which I figured out the current year. The nurse smiled empathetically. I'm afraid not. It's actually 2017. Oh, well, it wasn't that far. Wait, 2017? How long have I been out? Am I like that fairy tale guy who fell asleep for a bunch of years? She chuckled softly. You mean Rip Van Winkle? No, you're not. No. Wasn't Rip Van Winkle the German Shepherd in the black and white movies? Nope, that was Rin Tin Tin. I was getting more and more confused and it was worrying me, but I wanted to continue until I could get something right. I've got a great idea. How about if you ask me some Star Wars trivia? Like, what's the name of Han Solo's spaceship? Why, that's easy. It's called... I drew a complete blank. I forget. She placed her hand on my shoulder and said, Han's ship was the Millennium Falcon, sweetie. I felt dejected. I used to be the king of Star Wars trivia. Looking back, it was actually pretty neat that she actually knew the name of the ship. I was then left alone with my thoughts. Mandy, a young, pretty nurse, arrived to see how I was doing. She checked my vitals and then gently placed her hand on my forehead for a couple of moments. Her touch was soft and warm, and it made me happy. Just then, Isabel arrived. And don't get ahead of me now. And I felt like I'd been unfaithful to her just because of the way the nurse was touching my forehead. Mandy smiled and left the room. Isabel looked at me strangely. What's wrong? She asked. The nurse, I think she wants me. Isabel rolled her eyes. Does she now? Well, I only date nurses, you know that. That's it, my nurse wife said. I'm taking a photo of you for you to look at. You know that I love you, but have you seen yourself? Right now, you're a bit of a mess. And besides, we're not dating, we're married. Really? That's awesome. I glanced down at her ring finger and saw a couple of rings there that I put on a few years ago. Thanks a lot.